And now it's time for the fastest growing sports show on the internet today, JD's Rockin' Sports.
And we are live, ladies and gentlemen, here at the iVetX.com studios in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. Go away, Michelle. Go away. You had your time.
Hi, listeners. I just wanted to stop before I had to leave this beautiful studio that you're talking about and let all of you know that I am kicking JD's ass in a football pool. Okay, I'm not. I'm ahead by 1, but I'm still winning.
She's ahead by 1.
And
1 point.
This week, you have picked your team, of course,
I'm
the
going to
Patriots.
start calling her Ms. A-Rod because she celebrates in the regular season and does nothing when it counts. So,
this is called crosstalk.
It's
good radio.
Here's the thing. By the way, Michelle, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for the invite.
Co-host of No Limits Radio. But she is a diehard Bears fan, so I'm going to let her vent because she's obviously got some frustration. Well, she's more of a Bengals fan. She's a Bears fan due to her affiliation with another member, one of our radio daddies, who is currently deployed. So we definitely want to give him a shout out. Mr. James Fawbush. I mean, we can't say where he's at, but definitely a big shout out for him. But yes, she is winning technically by 1 point, by 1 win. But I'm about to overtake her this week because she picked against my Patriots. So
yeah, I know.
Why? Why would you do that?
I just have a okay. Do you want to know how I do my picks?
Is it like Christina's? Because if so, no.
Not really.
Okay.
So I look at the record, obviously, because, regardless of my feeling of a city or whatever, if a team is 0-5 playing a team that's 6-1, I'm not picking the team that's 0-5. So I look at the record.
Okay.
Then I look at the 2 teams playing. If it's a team I like, I go with the team I like.
Okay.
So for example, and if it's a team I hate, I'm absolutely going against the team I hate. Okay. Like when I had to pick the Steelers to win that game, it was so painful because I really don't like the Steelers. But anyway, then if I don't have a feeling like similar to I was looking at, oh my God, it's the Colts and the Patriots. It's about the same as far as record. They're both really, really good teams. So you know what I picked it for?
Home.
They're playing in the Colts. Yep. Yeah. Home team.
Okay.
So it's nothing, crazy, but I really feel like the Colts are going to win this. And the Patriots have been on a roll. So it's bound
That's
to.
That's a reason to pick against them.
Yeah, because
they're playing great. They got to lose.
Yes.
Hold on, I got a question.
Exactly.
More importantly, what do you think of Andrew Luck's throat beard?
It is No Shave November, which we're all partaking in. Well, you've been kind of trimming it down, which I'm a little disappointed.
I'm partaking too. I'm just kidding.
I didn't want to say anything.
Well, did you see my post today? The great thing about deployment is I'm saving money on razors, so I don't have to. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, guys, I gotta go. I'm kicking JD's ass. That's all that matters.
Go away. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. That's TMI. That's TMI.
Hey, more importantly than both of you, I've moved up from dead last, so I'm 4th from the bottom.
You're 4th from the bottom.
I'm gonna let that one go.
I'm gonna let that one go too.
I was looking forward to the In the Rear award.
I'm not gonna let that one pass. I'm
I'm
gonna jump on that
softball. Come on, Joel, Brent. Somebody want to take a swing?
No, I don't think so. Speaking of which, Joel, thanks for joining us today, buddy.
You bet.
How was your week, man?
It was great. Softball team won the championship for the 4th time in a row. What we're not telling you is the rest of the teams are in wheelchairs.
Yeah, they beat Shady Acres retirement home.
Are you guys always a favorite the start of every year?
Well, I mean, we're usually finish up number 1 and number 2 seed, but we ended up number 1 this time. In our semifinal match, we were down by 12 going into the 4th inning, and we ended up mounting up a comeback and won 18-17 in extra innings.
Boat race.
Yeah, motorboat. Outstanding. That's cool, man. Very happy for you.
Go Impact.
You know that you are. What's the name of your team?
Impact.
Impact. Okay. That you could look at that a few different ways. But so yeah, congratulations, man. 'Cause I know you're definitely a diehard softballer, if that's such a thing. Diehard softballer.
All right.
Now, in your league, do they have a limit on the amount of home runs that you can hit?
Yeah, it's a 1-and-1. So if we hit one, then we have to wait to hit another one until the other team hits one. So if you hit a home run out of order, then it's an out.
Yep, it's an out. And then if we hit one, then the other team can hit two. So they can only be one up at a time.
Okay.
and then we can
okay.
hit 2. Then it's like 3-2.
'Cause I know in like international competition, like for Team USA, because there's some pretty big,
Some big boys,
husky
yeah.
fellas
Yeah.
on those teams. You can only hit like a total of, I think it's like 7 home runs.
Yeah.
So yeah,
7 to 10.
yeah,
most of
something
the
like
time.
that. Yeah. So once they hit it, they save them until they get people on base.
Yeah.
And then they just launch it.
Grand slams and
So yeah, outstanding. All right, cool, man. Well, congratulations on you, Brent.
thank you.
Did you win any championships this week? You're horrible.
Well, no. When you're in it every single week, it's kind of hard. Yeah, I think I was in like 3 or 4 championships this year, but I don't think this week. But I don't think I got anything.
No, nothing.
No, I just wrapped up the work week. Pretty happy with that. Solid. So now I'm enjoying my weekend.
Way to do your job.
You guys can all count on me for that. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah. What about you, Aaron? What did you do this week?
Well, before we get going, I got a self-report. I got a violation. I was wrong on Tuesday's show with the way the NFL does the scheduling, so I have to wear that one on our debate. I still don't like Thursday games, and I still think NBC should have flexed it, but I was wrong. They do schedule the Sunday night game in advance now, which is a change with the 16 or 14 or 15-week Thursday night game. So I got to wear that one this week.
Outstanding. So in other words, I was right. He didn't say that, but if he was wrong, obviously I was
You're
right.
still wrong on the rest of it. You were just right about how they do the schedule.
All I heard was I was right.
Self-report.
Well,
The NCAA will go easy on me because I self-reported.
yeah, there you go.
Do you use your left hand or your right hand when you self-report?
Depends on the day.
Okay.
Depends on the day.
It's a family show, but
Yeah, I had to call you out on that though, since you're calling yourself out.
Right on. My week kind of went by pretty quick.
Oh,
Business is
JD,
doing
how was
well.
your week?
It's doing pretty good. I'm actually shopping today. I'm shopping today because of the week that I had. I'm going out and I'm buying all new office furniture.
Are you doing it online? Are you man shopping or?
I'm looking online, but then I'm actually physically gonna go down and
Ooh, that's gonna be rough.
Like I'm going over to like Fry's Electronics as soon as we leave here, and see what they got for office furniture and make sure I get like the coolest, most comfortable chair. But I want to buy a chair under like $200. So it's gotta be comfortable.
Uh-huh.
And then the desk, I don't want to spend any more than like $250, $300 on. And then I gotta buy a new camera. I think I want to buy a new, even though I do my hangouts on this and it's got a camera, I want to buy a new one because this one kind of, I don't know if it's wearing down or what, but, and then I got to buy new lighting for the office for when I record.
Any chance you're
my
gonna stop
videos.
off at Bed Bath & Beyond for some tiling and some flooring at all?
Actually, potentially because
Make a
the
nice little
man
Saturday.
cave, because we started a while back and never finished it. We've got a pool table, and we have 2 garages. One of them we're turning into a man cave. One, it's got a pool table, it's got a TV, it's got the ceiling fan, all that stuff. But I'm looking at doing like Patriot or Red Sox tiles. So throwing that in there and start putting up neon signs. That's about a 6-month job. So I'm thinking by the end of the winter, the man cave will be completed. That's what I'm thinking. But it also depends on whether or not me and my better half decide to actually get our own place.
There you go.
So, which is kind of scary. It's kind of scary,
Oh, trust me, I know.
And
I know too.
too. So, but as long as I still have the rights to the man cave, which she actually said, yeah, every man needs a man cave.
No, she doesn't have a key to it, does she?
No.
Okay.
She doesn't.
Okay.
She does have a key to the house that I'm in right now, though. And yeah. So, I don't mind her coming over in the middle of the night.
I've been living with my old lady for 9 years now, so
Yeah.
it's old hat.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing on that, and we're going to jump into our headlines here in about 3 minutes. But I told her, though, if we get our own house, I need my own room. She needs her own room.
I still don't have my own room.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, man. We've been together for so long, but the reason why we've been together for so long is because we give each other the space that we want after we get home from work and we have a long day and whatever. So, I figured a place for her to go, a place for me to go, and then another place for me to go. That works, So we're not always up underneath each other.
Yeah, I mean,
And
you do
that's
need that
why
space.
we've been able to live or be together for so long because we give each other that space. Yeah.
My old lady will go watch her own shows, and I'll watch my own. So we do that when we live together.
Yeah,
Because like I don't want to watch NCIS New Orleans. You can go watch that crap by yourself.
I love NCIS.
Good for you.
I
don't want
haven't
to
watch it in forever, but when I was watching it with Zila,
The LA one drives me nuts because LL Cool J is awful. So
I don't watch that one for him. I watch it more for her because the chick in that is hot.
I've seen like 15 minutes total.
And then you haven't seen her.
I mean,
hot.
The only reason Any Given Sunday gets around it is because there's so many characters other than LL Cool J.
Yeah. Anywho, so that's my week. It's not over yet. I got a big week coming up for my business. We're also talking about launching a new show called The Decision Hour in January, which we've already got tons of guests coming up. That's between myself and Mr. Adam Bird. And because we both make money online, we figured why not have a show about making money online and people that make their own decisions and so on and so forth. But as of right now, it's time to get down to some of the headlines for the week. Major League Baseball threw out their awards in the past week, and I'm satisfied with them. I am. I think one person made out a little bit more than a couple others. But why don't I let you and Brent jump into that real quick, and because we're going to touch on it, but then we're actually going to have our own segment on it because there's certain individuals that think that a pitcher shouldn't get the MVP award, but then there's others that say, well, when you have a year like Kershaw did, he should get the MVP. So I'm going to let you guys touch on it, but we're gonna bring it back. So let's not get too much in depth. Initial thoughts on it, Joel.
Well, I thought the American League for the most part was right. I was really surprised that Corey Kluber of the Indians beat out Felix Hernandez. That was really close. That was a really close race, but Kluber deserved it. He did. He had a great year. And the National League side, well, besides Kershaw winning the MVP, I actually do agree with it for the most part. I was surprised that DeGrom of the Mets won the Rookie of the Year. I thought it was Billy Hamilton's.
From the Reds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was pulling for Colton Wong because, he's a Cardinal, but he
had a pretty, I mean, again, I know you deal with those awards during the regular season, but he did pull through as a rookie in the postseason for them.
Yeah, and he's a great player and he's going to be awesome. He just needed to bring up his average a little bit, but second most home runs among all
rookies.
Second most home run among all second basemen. So he's going to be a stud. I mean, these guys are a future, and it's going to be a good few years for baseball coming up.
I mean, I understand that everyone says that we have the Cy Young for the best pitcher. That's their award.
But don't you also have like certain awards for batters and people that actually?
Yeah, there's gonna be like the Triple Crown or like the Silver Slugger, which obviously pitchers don't get.
Golden Glove Award.
But when the way and I'm not just saying this because it was Kershaw who won it, with me being a Dodger fan, but when it does come around, and it happens very seldomly, that you have someone that is just as dominating. And when we kind of broke it down, when we look at it in terms of this is a guy that didn't play every day, but on a rotating 5 schedule. When I think it was you, Joe, that broke it down, or maybe it was you, Aaron, where it was like when Stanton had X amount of at-bats throughout their whole season. Well, Kershaw faced X amount of hitters. So they equivalently kind of had the same amount of appearances, so to speak, against the opposition. But when you have someone that was as dominating as Kershaw was, I don't see how you can argue it, because it's supposed to be the most person who gives their team the best chance to win and is the most impactful player.
Right.
I'm sorry. I think you have to give it to Kershaw for that. And it's unfortunate that happens. He won both awards. Well, maybe in my case, someone else better try harder.
Right. That's true. That's true. And we'll dig into that. Hear a little bit more.
That was me, but I stole that stat.
Did you steal that stat? Nice. All right. Trade rumors. There are some trade rumors out there.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some really big blockbuster trades this year.
Blockbuster trades?
Yep. I think Castro's gone from the Cubs. I think Cespedes is gone.
What about Rizzo? That's what I care about with the Cubs.
No, Rizzo's
I think he's
going to stay put.
Yeah. With that kind of year he had, I don't think they're going to mess with that.
He's a guy that you'll build the team around.
I thought you said he strikes out a lot.
He does strike
He
out
does.
a lot, but when he connects, they go far.
Well, since I mean, with if they get rid of Castro, then at that point they've already gotten rid of Barney. They got rid of Castro. And those two worked the middle infield for what 4-5 straight years.
Mhm.
You know, they had a good tangent right there. So if Castro goes, either you're bringing someone up from your farm program or you're making a trade to fill shortstop.
Right.
So what's going on
they-
with A-Rod?
Well,
I hate to talk about him, but he's actually starting to make news again.
Of course
Why?
he is.
yeah. Well, he's back from his suspension. I know that the Yankees want to try to move him, but I don't think they're going to find a team that'll take him. They don't want that circus around
What if another team just says, okay, well, if you being the Yankees pick up a majority of the contract, then we'll take him. Do you see that as a possibility?
No, I don't. Because teams don't want that circus around him. It came out earlier this week that he paid his cousin $200,000 to keep quiet about his steroid uses.
I want to know if he gets
So-
that money back if his cousin talked.
Well, here's my thing. All right. I don't really care what comes out about him. The guy got suspended for an entire season.
Right.
He served his time. So whatever comes out from this point forward, it's time served.
Well, I mean, we saw some of the backlash where some of these steroid players got signed last year.
Mhm.
I mean, it's going to be a circus again. And no, I don't think any team really wants to deal with it.
Well, and as a Yankees fan, the New York media will tear him apart every day.
Well, then
So-
put him someplace where the media is not as big.
That-
Plus, I mean, he's
was-
pushing 40. He's
him
pushing
in-
40, and he's going to be hurt.
Put him in San Diego. Put him
See,
in.
But see, that's where
Put him in
I.
Miami. He's got connections in Miami. I've heard.
But see, the thing, but like Joel said, he's climbing up there in age, and then if he's going to be in the National League,
He has to play the
you
field.
have to. Yeah, you have to worry about injuries with him. Now, granted, he had a full year off to recover,
Uh-huh.
kind of like Peyton's thing. Like we know with the surgery, he had that actually year probably benefited him, in being off.
I'm
He
sure
played
that
independent ball.
his bat is still better than
Yeah.
50% of the third baseman in the National League.
Who
And I
knows?
got a thought
Who
for you
knows
guys,
after taking
too,
a
on
year
that.
off?
He could be healthier and feel great.
He-
It's like spending time in rehab. Not that I ever have, but I mean, after being out for a while and you're clean and you're good to go, I mean, you start getting energy back and start living youth. again.
He played independent ball where guys are throwing 70-mile-an-hour fastballs. Try to catch up now to 95.
Well,
I
I'm
don't
sure
think that's gonna happen.
he'll have some time, in the winter to start getting.
Let
back
me
to
ask
that.
you guys this. What about Seattle? If they picked up 90% of that salary, Seattle's been trying to load for 2 or 3 years.
I can see Seattle.
No one cares in
To go out
Seattle
there with
either.
Cano.
They're all high.
Well, I mean, they put together a decent season this year.
Who do they got at third base?
Kyle Seager, I think.
Or shortstop or DH.
No, not shortstop.
No, he's
not
not.
too
He
old
couldn't.
to be running shortstop.
Now, the only thing that honestly
Or
that
DH?
I could see is that if
DH
you're not going to DH him, you somehow try to get him into first base.
Yeah, that's
Being that he is the hot corner, he is kind of used to at least having balls hit on skips.
true.
But the NL, I don't see feasible if you're going to pick up that along with the baggage he's gets coming along with it. You have to have him as a DH.
Plus, you got to remember he's signed for about another 6,
Right,
7
and that's
years.
the thing. Look, he's gonna play in 2015. There's no doubt about that. The only question is where.
What if you pay him not to play? Like Adrian Peterson. I think that's what's going to happen with him. And you just say, we're going to
I
pay you,
think that
stay
he's still
far
too
away.
Valuable. I think that he's still got value to him, and he's better than a lot of people out there, regardless. I mean, I think he can still push up 20 to 25 home runs. Legally.
I agree
think
with
so?
you, but I
Yeah.
think that the Yankees would rather say stay far away. So
Well,
if they
that's the
can't
thing, which
get
is why
something done,
I think, and I agree with you. I think that he'll be on another team. He'll be on another team. There's teams out there. Maybe he'll go back to Texas. Maybe he'll go back and play in Texas.
Well,
I don't know if that'll work.
Adrian Beltre is at third.
Right, but
Yeah,
who's
Prince
their
Fielder
DH?
at first.
Yeah, but who's their DH?
Either one of those guys when they're getting a day off.
No, because when they take days off, they take days off. So I mean, I think he would fit in good there.
I mean, it will be interesting to see
As DH.
what ends up happening with him because
I mean, he's gonna play. So the only question is now finding a place for him to play.
I think the Yankees are stuck with him. I do. I don't think no team. I think most of it is just the baggage just coming with him.
With what the Yankees did last year offensively, bringing him in is not going to hurt them.
Right.
It's not.
No, it's not. But I don't think they want to deal with that. I just watching that team, seeing all the New York media there's blood in the water. Those guys are sharks.
I just don't. If they keep him, I think it'll be a smart move because he can't hurt their lineup.
I don't want to see him in that uniform again. He's already tarnished it enough.
I don't know. I just I think he's still got a lot of value to him. And granted, this is a Red Sox fan talking about a Yankee player. I think he's still got a lot of value to him. And I think wherever he goes, he's going to put up 70 to 80 hits. He's going to put up about 20 home runs. And that's better than a lot of people that they could bring in.
I agree with you 100%, but I just don't think they're going to want to deal with that.
It's New York. If you're not prepared to be scrutinized in New York, then you shouldn't be in New York.
That guy's an embarrassment to that jersey, though.
People do stuff that's wrong. All right. If he didn't already serve his time, I would completely agree with you. He shouldn't be in, suspend him, whatever. The guy just sat out a full year.
Right. But this guy's, it's not to get too baseball punny, but he's had like 17 strikes. He made out with himself in a mirror. He's got steroids twice.
This is the first time where he's actually been sat down.
But in the eyes of the fans and the media there, this guy has been a joke.
They will love him when he comes back. It's New York. All you got to do is flip a switch, and they'll be happy again. Seriously, it's New York. That's how New York is. I mean, if you're okay with Rex Ryan, you're going to be okay with A-Rod. Plain and simple.
I disagree. They're different guys. I mean, Rex Ryan, his foot fetish and all that stuff, he's a character. He's not walking around.
A-Rod's been part of a championship team.
He has.
He's been part of a couple
barely.
Championship teams.
They won that in spite of him.
But still, I mean, they had to get there, and he played a big part in it. So
A-Rod's going to be 40 this year too.
Okay.
I don't think really any team's going to put on with that, especially with the years that he has left on his contract.
This is the last we'll say about it, and then we're going to move on to Derrick Rose. But he's going to play, and wherever he plays, he's going to be productive. The media and all that other stuff, anything else that happens off the field, it's going to happen. Get used to it.
I think he's going to bat below 250.
I'd say 275.
You made a point too earlier. What about the Diamondbacks? They'd take him in a heartbeat if you paid 90% of that salary. And the media here would throw him softball questions.
He's got to play every day.
He's got to play the field.
And they'd throw him softball questions. They wouldn't try and eat him alive.
But here's the thing, though. You either move Trumbull, who came on big last year.
Not if you don't have to pay him. Well, Trumbull's already moving to right field. They said that the other day.
Okay.
The new GM, what's his name?
Put him
I'm
at
blanking
third.
on his name.
Dave Stewart.
They've got, what's his name? They've got at third. They've got not Peralta, but
they had Trumbo, but he's going to move to right field.
They had Aaron Hill at third for a while.
Aaron Hill needs to stay at second base.
And I think he's going to start at third, but they're trying to move him. So
they may put Chris Owings at third. And you can have that out there.
That's not bad. I mean, if you're going to move him to a place that, it's not the big city lights or anything like that. And the desert is the perfect place. I mean, people get buried all the time here. So, I mean, let's send him to the desert and bury him. And, when he makes headlines, it'll be because he's actually doing good. Other than that, we really don't care. So, all right. D Rose. Comments. I mean, this is, I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's already been blown up quite a bit in the mainstream media. But he's hurt again. But this time it's not like he's going to be out for 60 days. He strained his hammy. I don't know, man. But one of the things that fans need to realize before they start jumping on him is this is a former MVP. When he's healthy, he plays, and he plays good. So he's still got the skill. I mean, to think back before Derrick Rose, from after MJ and before Derrick Rose, Chicago was absolutely nothing. Nothing. They weren't even on the map.
They were never a threat.
Now, with D Rose, I mean, they're an offensive threat. They've always played defense. But with D Rose in the lineup,
if he doesn't play a game this year, I still think they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. They got Pau Gasol. They got Joakim Noah. I think they're still pretty loaded without him, and they're used to playing
loaded
without
on
him.
defense. They're not loaded on offense. Noah's not a scorer.
Defense wins playoff games.
Not when you're only putting up 60 points.
It would in the playoffs.
No.
You can make that half-court game and shut it down, but they've still got enough talent because they're used to playing without him.
But they played without him last year, and they lost in the playoffs because they couldn't score any points.
I didn't say they're winning a championship. Let's not get crazy here.
They'll make it to the
that's
playoffs.
the Cavs.
They'll make it to the playoffs, but they'll lose in the first round without D Rose, without any scoring.
Maybe.
Dang's already gone. So who do you turn to? Heinrich?
I like Heinrich. He's old. He's old though.
But he's one dimensional. He's an outside shooter. He's not a driver. He's not a scorer. He's an outside shooter. That's it.
Not to start rumors, but Isaiah Thomas in a Bulls jersey would be kind of weird, with the whole bad boys thing.
Yeah, we haven't even started on the Suns yet.
Yeah.
We're working on that though.
Very disappointed. I wanted to go to that Hornets game last night, even though the Suns lost. Like the Hornets.
Yeah. I actually got a meeting with DC this week. Who's their media director? I got a meeting with him this week to sit down and tell them what it is that we want to do, and then they're going to tell us. Which I never understood that. I get invites all the time from a lot of teams, and this is basically how it starts, where they say, "Okay, what is it that you want to do?" And every one of them, I've told them what we want to do, and then they come back and tell us what it is that we can do. So why don't we just start with that? Why don't you just tell me what it is that we can do, and I'll say, "Great, sounds good." If we're doing it, it's really not that difficult. All right, so what else we got for headlines this week? The issue with the playoff system is everybody's talking about why is Florida State keep dropping when they haven't lost. Well, the problem is their strength of schedule is so easy compared to the rest of the teams that are up there.
When the people who are having the problem are saying, well, you're going to put and I'm more on agreement with you in the sense of, well, look who they played and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But they haven't lost a game. And some people are saying, well, they haven't lost a game dating back to last year.
Well, congratulations, but get Bethune-Cookman off your schedule, and people will give you a little bit more credit.
The one thing that drives me nuts too is the SEC. Like, okay, you take most of your teams, they play their cupcake early. Like Ohio State always plays like Dayton.
Ohio State's another team.
Like the first week. Yeah. But then the SEC always plays these cupcakes in the end. So like in November, when people are like, oh, are these teams for real? Now they're playing some freaking Bethesda or something.
Well, Auburn has the toughest strength of schedule out of anybody.
Well, but I'm saying usually in general for the SEC.
Okay.
Because I like the Pac-12, and that's because I have a West Coast bias, but I hate the whole SEC and the love for all those guys and all that stuff when, it's the toughest schedule. They play cupcakes too, and they play them late. I'd rather play that guy early or, because they don't have a preseason, which is, another thing. But I still think you're going to see probably 2 SEC teams in there at least in the 4 playoff. But I think you're probably going to see it jump to 8 just for logistic reasons. You're going to have the 5 conference winners plus 3.
Right.
When all is said and done. Any more than that, it gets diluted. Less than that, you're going to miss somebody. So I think if you go to 8, you can still eliminate anybody's problems.
Yeah, but I don't know about that because then that just continues to extend, and then you got to move the bowl games out, and then you run into the Super Bowl.
But I mean, I think that's what people want to see is, well, my team didn't get a chance only because we finished in this. I mean, again, I do understand what you're saying, having to push the Bulls out, but Aaron, I kind of agree with that as well because you make it too much, you make it too small, you miss people out, you make it too big, it gets diluted. But what about some of these other teams that really actually have really great seasons and that are putting up some pretty good power within their division, but they get missed out?
Well, you got to think of you're going to have a Power 5 conference here, right? So you got your 5 conference winners, so they're all going to have to get a championship game at some point, which is going to help, break all that stuff down. And then, the other thing with that is you still have your non-conference guys like Notre Dame, your military schools, your BYU. One of those guys, Notre Dame's always in it, even though they've kind of fell off. They're coming back and they're still in it. So,
you know what? Let's go ahead and take a break. We're going to pick this up when we come back.
Are you or someone you know looking for a new job or career? The Vets on Media family would like to invite you to the National Career Fair in Phoenix on November 17th from 11 until 2 p.m. This free job fair will be held at the Phoenix Airport Marriott Hotel, located at 1101 North 44th Street, Phoenix. This is your chance to meet some of the top employers in the Phoenix area face-to-face. Get ready to jumpstart your new career at the National Career Fair in Phoenix, November 17th from 11 until 2 p.m. at the Phoenix Marriott Hotel, 1101 North 44th Street, Phoenix. For more information, visit ncfairs.com/Phoenix. Again, that's ncfairs.com/Phoenix.
Breaker, breaker, 1-9. How about that bandit? You got them ears on, son?
Have you ever wanted to be a truck driver? If so, pay attention. If not, pay attention anyway. Southwest Truck Driver Training offers everything you need to get started. You can get hired before you begin training. They've got GI Bill approved training facilities, day, night, or weekend programs to fit your busy schedule. And if you have any questions, no sweat. They've got veteran supportive campuses with veterans on staff to serve you. And on top of that, they have lifetime job placement assistance. Put the pedal to the metal. Call Southwest Truck Driver Training today.
Everyone's going to need an attorney at some point in their life. I'm no different. Hey everyone, it's James from Vets On. Whether it was my last will and testament before deployment or my ongoing custody battle for my children during my divorce, I needed help, so I lawyered up. If you need help, I urge you to contact Capstrom Law Firm. Capstrom Law Firm in Springfield, Missouri services clients throughout the state in criminal law, personal injury, and family law. With over 13 years practicing law, Tom Capstrom understands both law and court procedures and how stressful they can be. Let Tom Capstrom Law Firm and his dedicated staff take the stress and worry out of a difficult situation by calling him today. We feel so strong about the work that Tom and his staff are doing that he'll be a monthly guest on the show. Tom is a veteran and a listener, for God's sake, so you know the guy is solid and will fight for you. Give Tom a call today by calling 417-864-0552 or email Tom at capstromlaw.com. And don't forget to tell him that Vets On sent you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
If you or someone you know is looking for a new job or career, you need to visit the pros. National Career Fairs at ncfairs.com. National Career Fairs hosts over 300 career fairs a year nationwide. The events are free and give you the perfect chance to meet some of the top employers in your area face-to-face. To find the nearest career fair to you, visit ncfairs.com. Again, that's ncfairs.com. What are you waiting for?
The siren song is strong sometimes on this Texas radio.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening live to JD's Rockin' Sports on this beautiful Saturday from the iVetX.com studios in Scottsdale, Arizona. Joining me, as always, is Brent, Joel, and the man behind the mirror, Mr. Aaron Davis. So, picking up where we left off, we were talking a little bit about the NCAA playoffs. I think you should keep it at 4 because once you start expanding it, then we're going to start looking at like a Sweet 16 down the road. And next thing you know, it's going to be just like the NCAA basketball tournament where you got 64 teams out there, you know, and football season goes 11 months. So four games or 4 teams, 2 games or 3 games, excuse me. I completely agree with that.
Well, the one thing we were talking about in the break is who's Boston College playing this week, right? And it's their second bye. So college, you get 2 byes. So you eliminate one of those byes, you put in the title game, there's a week there.
I agree with that. I think there's too many byes in college. But at the same time, though, if you're not going to put it in there, then but if you take that out, I mean, that means that you expand the field to 6 games. You know, because if you do 8, then you're automatically adding a couple weeks to the to college because there's 2 more games that have to be played.
Well, you have 4 games if you have 8 teams. So you could literally have 4 games on a Saturday.
Yeah, but that's 3 weeks though, because you've got the round of 8, the round of 4, and then the championship week. That's 3 additional weeks to the season.
Well,
in which case you're either playing it during the Pro Bowl or you're playing it during the Super Bowl.
There's a huge gap anyway between Thanksgiving and Christmas before games play in the bowls. So I mean, here we always have ASU, U of A, the day after Thanksgiving or that weekend. That's when you could have. I mean, if you took 1 week out, that's when you would have your Pac-12 championship game, right? And then the week after that, you could have your, playoff 1 if you want, or playoff. You could do playoff 1, playoff 2, or whatever you want to do, and then you could have it sorted out by Christmas, where you have a bowl game on Christmas that's a consolidation, a bowl game on New Year's that's another consolation game, and then one, the following week or whatever you want to do. If you want to put it on New Year's, you could do that too. I always liked it on New Year's, but that's because that's how it was when I was a kid. I don't like the Monday in between thing they always have.
Yeah, I'd rather see the big games on the weekends than
Absolutely
in the middle of the week.
Yeah,
that part I will agree with.
They do it. What is it? The last week of the NFL season, because there's no Monday night. So
Yeah,
it's
something
like
like that, yeah.
I'd rather see it on New Year's Day, and you could theoretically do that and be done with it, and you'd have the whole spring semester to deal with spring football, guys who want to transfer, guys who are graduating, move on and come back and wrap it up in August. So that way it wouldn't get like you want and you're concerned about so many months.
Let's see how the first year finishes for the playoffs. Let's see how it turns out, and then I'm sure adjustments will be made or whatnot.
Because some people are going to be upset about it. Because with anything, you can't make everybody happy.
This is true. One of the biggest digs about the 4 team, or just the playoff idea anyway, is like, for example, you take a team like Florida State. They're ranked like 42nd in the nation in strength of schedule, whereas Oregon, who has jumped them, is ranked 19th. So obviously they got a harder schedule. Shouldn't you reward a team, even though one's 8-1 and the other one's undefeated? Shouldn't you reward a team for playing a tougher schedule? Because the teams themselves, this isn't like the NFL, where the NFL schedule makers just make up the schedule based on who they think should play.
Right.
The schedules are built years in advance based on the schools. They select who it is they want to play.
Well, that's the thing with Notre Dame. I'm not a Notre Dame fan, and they've thrown a hissy fit to remain independent. So if you're not getting big time games, or you try and back out of playing ASU, screw you guys.
They got beat down, by the way.
Well, no, I do agree with you, JD, in terms of the power and like the how difficult the schedule is. But I want to hear, because we talked about it like on Breaking before the show. For the people who are saying that, going back to last season, though, they say Florida State is the best team because of what they've been able to do consistently. Well, how many? What are we on? Like, what's their win streak at right now? And again, this is what the people are.
They were undefeated last year. They're undefeated this year. But
do you think that holds anything? The fact that they could go 20 some odd games, just go straight through and not lose a game, does that?
No, because if you look at it, let's say, for example, the Notre Dame ASU game last week. Okay. Arizona State absolutely destroyed them. Destroyed them. If you look at the top games that Florida State has played, they barely beat Louisville. As a matter of fact, they were losing most of that game.
Yeah.
They barely beat number 25 Louisville. They beat Notre Dame by 4 points, where ASU just beat them by like 4 touchdowns. All right. And then you look at number 22 Clemson, they had to go into overtime to beat them. That's their toughest opponents. Other than that, they blew out Wake Forest by 40. That's what you're supposed to do. They played the Citadel. They played Virginia. They're playing Miami this week, and I guarantee you that's going to be a close game. And they're not even ranked. Whereas if you look at let's look at Notre Dame's schedule. Notre Dame, same thing. Rice, Michigan, who's nobody, Purdue, Syracuse. They played number 14 Stanford, and they only won by 3. They only lost to Florida State by 4 points. By 4 points. And for everybody that was watching the game, you could have made that call at the end one way or the other, whether it was holding or not, or offensive pass interference or whatnot. Even though the D-backs for Florida State engaged the receivers, and it got called on Notre Dame, even though the corners came up and engaged the receivers within the 5-yard mark, which they're allowed to do, but it was called offensive pass interference. So technically, they should have lost that game too. So I mean, if you're going to be, if you're the defending champions, and you're going to be complaining about being leaped over, you're barely winning the games that you should blow out.
You should be kicking people's rears.
Or at least beating them by double digits, and you're not doing that. Whereas the teams ahead of you or in that same range are blowing out the same teams that you're playing and barely beating.
Well, by that logic, why don't you just do it like fantasy football and do it points for and points against, and you can rank them 1 through 25 if you want.
Maybe you should do that.
That might not be a bad idea because they want you to rack up points anyway. So
yeah, maybe you should do that. I mean, it's just, you're looking at I'm still going back to like last year where Florida State had Bethune-Cookman on their schedule. Why? I mean, and Notre Dame's playing the Citadel. Let's look
who are you
at
asking the why for? I mean, Notre Dame gets a win, and the school gets a boatload of money to get their rears kicked in.
Right, but then at the same time, if you look at ASU, they play. Their only loss was to UCLA. It was at home,
and they got blown out.
They got blown out on that one.
But UCLA has been not very good.
But they beat USC. They beat Stanford by double digits.
Yep.
By multiple scores, and until that game, Stanford basically owned ASU just like they did in the Pac-12 championship game last year. They beat Utah. They beat down Notre Dame. They played a lot more ranked teams than Florida State has, yet they're ranked behind them. I can make a case this week if Arizona State again blows out. Who are they playing this week? They're playing Oregon State. If they blow out Oregon State at Oregon State and Florida State barely beats Miami, I would put Arizona State over Florida State again because their wins are more impressive. They got a better strength of schedule. I think they're ranked like 22 in the nation for strength of schedule. So, I mean, I would put Arizona State ahead of Florida State. Look, if you don't want to be leaped, get a stronger schedule.
Well, right? if you were no, and I agree with you on that. If you were to make that statement to say that if ASU wins this week, Florida State barely has a win. If you're putting them ahead of ASU, ahead of Florida State, looking at the playoff rankings, they have Arizona State at 6.
Right.
So there's still, technically, by that logic, ASU has a chance to get in that 4-game playoff.
They definitely do. If they win out and they win out impressively.
I don't understand TCU at 4 and Arizona State at 6, but that's another topic.
Yeah, I think that can change this week as well, depending on how Arizona State does. Again, it is at Oregon State, which is not the easiest place to play at, but Oregon State's not really that demanding of a team. I mean, they're not going to come out and run the ball over you or whatnot. I think that they're ranked. What are they? It's 116th in rushing yards, 82nd in points for, 87th in points against. The only thing they got going for them is passing yards, and they're 29th overall, whereas Arizona State is 25th in passing. They're 22nd in points for, so they average two more touchdowns a game, but they're top 50 in everything, which is pretty good. And they just beat down Notre Dame. So, I mean, now they've got Oregon State this week and they've got Washington State next week. So basically they're going up against 2 teams that love to pass the ball for the next 2 weeks. And I'll be actually covering that game next week, which is an early game. It's an 11 a.m. start here in the
games
Valley.
are getting earlier and earlier now.
Yeah. So that should be interesting. And then, of course, they've got number 14, Arizona, which, by the way, I got to give kudos to Arizona. All right. They already painted the A. weeks in advance.
I disagree with you on this.
I love it because every year, because we were talking about, getting getting the National Guard out there with like paintball guns, a week prior, and have them do like a field training exercise and just hammer them down. They're ahead of the game. I mean, here we are making plans. We're going to protect the A that week. Well, great. It already happened.
They already don't care enough about their season. They've fallen off so much that they're worried about the A.
No,
they were still in it. They can still.
It's a fan thing. All right.
But that's the thing. They should be worried about their season. They were a legitimate shot to win the Pac-12 South.
They're still in there. They're ranked 14th. But I love the fact that everybody's giving it. They're saying every year they say not this year, not this year, not this year. It already happened. They're already one up on us. I mean, protect the A. It's a fan versus fan thing. They already got us. Kudos to them. I'm giving them kudos because they were going to try anyway, whether or not they were going to try the week of or a couple days before, and it was our job to stop them. They got us. We tip your hat. That's just the way I love it. I do. I think that was pretty damn smart. This year we're gonna have to paint it during the offseason. Get down there and paint it during the offseason or something, But or we can just beat them on the field. You know what I'm saying? And that's in Arizona, in Tucson. So that should be an interesting game. But as far as that goes, though, I mean, seriously, if you want to be taken seriously with the new rankings, and as of right now, the schedules are already being built for 2017, 2018. So if you're looking at next year saying, maybe we should, well, then you got to go back 2-3 years when you actually built that schedule and started agreeing to these teams. All right. Maybe you shouldn't agree to play Bethune-Cookman or the Citadel or even Army, even though I love my Black Knights. Maybe you shouldn't have them on your schedule if you want to be taken seriously.
Yeah, I was going to say, I understand that you need to have your must wins.
Yeah.
But can't you replace those with 3 more difficult teams? And then,
but there's a reason why Auburn's going to be in it. There's a reason why Alabama's going to be in it because they play some of the toughest schedules out there. Alabama's got one hell of a game this week. So I mean,
and they got Mississippi State right this week.
They've got the number 1 ranked team, and which brings up another conversation where the number 1 ranked team in the nation is a heavy underdog, almost 10-point spread. I took that, by the way. I'll tell you, I took Ole Miss. I took Mississippi State and the 9.5 points. Absolutely. I'm riding with Dak. Which, by the way, I heard what it stood for yesterday, and I completely forgot. So they just went with Dak. So Dak it is. So there's a lot of great games to watch this week. There is. Let's see here. What's next on the? Final thoughts on that. I mean, the power rankings are as is. Is the committee doing the right thing because of the strength of schedule, and that's what they seem to be looking at? Are they doing the right thing by looking at the strength of schedule when deciding the top 4?
I agree.
I think so.
Yeah, Aaron.
I think it's basically the BCS with people right now. I have to see more.
But yeah, I can see where you're going with that. But as of right now, I like what they're doing.
Because if we come to a playoff and they put in 2 or 3 SEC teams, we're back where we were.
But the SEC is hands down the toughest division in college football.
I don't agree with that. There's really good teams at the top. The top 3 or 4 or 6 teams are really good. But when you get to the bottom, you got Kentucky. I mean, is Kentucky better than Washington or Washington State in football?
Yeah, but you're not looking at them playing them. You're looking at Auburn playing Alabama, Auburn playing Mississippi State.
That's fine if you have that matchup.
But you're playing the top-ranked teams out there. If you have just as many ranked games as you do non-ranked games, that's a tough schedule. Whereas Florida State's played 3 people on their schedule that's ranked, and they barely beat them. Barely. Where Arizona State has played ranked teams, and they've blown them out by double figures.
Right, and that's my point is I think the Pac-12 is comparable. Now at the top,
No.
your Auburns, your Alabamas, those are way better than any team in the Pac-12. But when you go 1 through 12, the overall level of talent in the Pac-12 is better than the SEC because of the teams like Kentucky.
Right, but if you do that, then Florida State doesn't deserve to be anywhere near the top 10 because the ACC sucks.
Well, the ACC does suck, and like you're saying, when they do play ranked teams, it's not a blowout as it should be.
Right. So, I mean,
we agree for different reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that the Pac-12 deserves to have a dog in the fight.
I mean, the Pac-12 is the second best.
Yeah, I'll give them second best,
right
but
now,
the SEC is the
people.
strongest. The SEC is the strongest division out there.
And double middle finger to the Big Ten.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, because you're looking at Michigan, you're looking at Michigan State,
Ohio State.
You're looking at Ohio State, and Ohio State's ranked below Florida. No, they're ranked just above.
You got Wisconsin and Ohio State. That's it.
And Wisconsin's not really doing anything this year either. Nebraska's okay. They're a top 20 team.
Don't they have like Purdue now too, and Rutgers and some weird teams?
Yeah. So I mean, the Big Ten's just
the Big Ten with 12 or 14 teams.
They're not that scary anymore.
No, they're not.
They're not. I mean, welcome to the big house. Well, congratulations. I'll take a picture while I'm here. But other than that, that's about it. I'm saying I've been to the big house, but other than that, it's not intimidating. 110,000 fans that they can fit in their stadium. It's not that intimidating anymore. Anybody that sees Michigan on their schedule from this point forward is like, okay, great, we're playing Michigan.
They might have had a better crowd for that Red Wings Maple Leafs game.
This is true. This is true. So, yeah, I think the fact that they're going off a strength of schedule, I think that's the smartest thing to do. And I don't care if Florida State goes undefeated the rest of the season. If Arizona State blows out Arizona and blows out their next two opponents, they deserve to be in the top 4. Because they played tougher teams. I can totally see this coming down to 2 teams from the SEC and 2 teams in the from the Pac-12.
That would actually be really cool. I mean, again, it would put the Pac. And again, I do agree that the Pac-12 is the second best division.
But what's going to happen is it's going to come down to division. The only 2 from those 2 teams from those 2 divisions are going to be the division champs. Who wins the SEC and who wins the Pac-12. And everybody else will be fill-ins.
Florida State versus ASU would be a really good game.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be a good
Arizona
matchup.
State will absolutely destroy them because Florida State starts off slow and Arizona State starts off fast.
And ASU has a very, very quick defense.
Oh, yeah.
That would match up good against Winston.
And the funny thing is, they were talking about how many freshmen. They had to start like 8 freshmen in their defense this year. And everybody was criticizing them and saying that was the low point for this team, and they didn't know how they were going to have to score, 60 points a game in order to win. That hasn't been the case. They got a young, fast, hard-hitting defense.
You saw what they did to Notre Dame. I mean, literally with the interceptions and the pick sixes that they were doing. Like, I mean, I had the great view being in the press box, but watching how quick their corners and safeties were getting to passes that were thrown. Like, there were good balls.
Yeah.
But the defense was able to get in the way of it. So. And that was actually the big thing that we heard going into the season was how quick and fast their defense was. That was one of the biggest things that was being talked about as an improvement from last year.
Mm-hmm. So sticking with college football, who's the leaders for the Heisman right now? I mean, who are we looking at? Obviously, you got to look at Dak. All right.
No, he's absolutely up there in the discussion. Before the show, when I was just kind of taking a little look to see
Mariota,
almost
Mariota.
Every single person has him as the number 1. Now, again, I mean,
the only game they lost, it was on him, but it was a late game. They were coming back, and he fumbled the ball. But they were driving to win that game. That's their only loss.
Yeah.
If he would have held on the ball, they would be undefeated right now, and they would be a top 1 too.
I've seen Jameis Winston's name in there, but he's too much of a knucklehead. No one's going to vote for him.
I don't like him. I think that it's kind of funny where Florida State moved their hearing to after
December
the last
1st,
game of the season.
How convenient that was.
Oh, so
let's see where we finish first, and then if they finish in the top 2 or 3, I guarantee you, we're going to delay it again until after January 1st.
Well, and he can go for the draft too. He'll be old enough to not come back. Which it's in his best interest not to.
So he's going to not be punished pretty much at all for just being an idiot.
Yeah, being a knucklehead. Yeah.
So knucklehead.
But with the hype, I mean, one thing, I'm just kind of looking at some of the numbers for Mariota in front of us. People can say that, like, that Winston may be a more dynamic or more of a threat because he's more mobile. Well, Mariota is pretty damn mobile himself. But one thing that it's maybe not what he does, it's what he doesn't do. He doesn't turn the ball over. I mean, his last 3 seasons, he's only had 12 picks. The last 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Cutler can do that in a halftime, But I was just looking at his. One thing that I didn't even know about him is his QB rating over the last 3 years. He's been basically averaging a QB rating of 170.
Wow,
that's insane.
That is insane.
But he's playing in a competitive division, and Oregon's schedule being one of the stronger ones. I mean, compared to Florida State. So,
I mean, yeah, he probably deserves it. I think if Mississippi State holds on, I think it'll be Dak. If they make the 4 teams, it'll be Dak.
Well, looking at what these with some of the analysts for college football, I mean, I definitely agree that you have to keep Mariota in the conversation but the one that I was
rest of the guys.
No, that's what I'm trying to get with these are just like the top rankings that these guys are giving.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, you've got Dak in there. Some of them are actually even putting Melvin Gordon, the running back for Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Pretty big boy. I mean, but that's again, but Wisconsin always goes for those type of running backs.
Wisconsin right now is in a battle against Nebraska. They're up, or they will be playing today against Nebraska, and that is in Wisconsin. That's going to be a good game. That's going to be a real good game.
Now, Aaron, I know you're saying what's the whole thing about TCU. They even have Trayvon Boykin, their QB. He's number 1 on one list, but Amari Cooper, the receiver out of Alabama, he's been discussed. And the other one, which I don't think he's an outstanding athlete, but the defensive back for Louisville, they have Holloman down there.
Mm-hmm.
But the 2 biggest ones obviously is going to be Dak and Mariota, and I think Mariota will take it as long as he stays healthy. Doesn't do anything like terribly stupid in terms of decision making, but he's got the top seed right now.
Right.
If they don't make the 14th playoff, I don't think there's a chance he will win.
So you don't think if you have, but it goes to the best player in the nation.
Right.
Doesn't necessarily mean that you're on the best team in the nation.
No,
right?
I agree, but usually how that goes is if you're not in a big game at the end, people forget about you when it comes time to send that stuff in. So if they're not, competing for the Pac-12 championship, if they're not in the end of it, then I could easily see it going to a guy like Dak Prescott.
I know they're two. I know baseball and football are 2 different things, but look at Kershaw. He got the MVP and was not. And his team didn't make it to the second round again, but he apparently was the best player in baseball in the National League, and his team wasn't in the show.
But don't they send those in like right around the end of the season?
Yeah, but the MVP is a regular season award. That's why they also have a playoff MVP too.
But the Heisman is offered every single year. I mean, has there been a year that's like, what, no one was worthy this year, so we're not just going to give the Heisman out today.
Probably should.
But I mean, I know.
Well, technically, the year Reggie Bush won it, nobody won it.
Yeah,
they took it away.
They took it away. So,
well, you know what? Play by the rules then.
You know what? Going back to the strength of schedule, I'm looking at this Ohio State-Minnesota game, and Minnesota is within 3. And you're looking at Ohio State, who's a top 10 team, playing. They're ranked 8th going into this week. They're playing the 25th ranked Minnesota Golden Gophers, and they're struggling with them. They're only up by 3, 17-14 in the 3rd. So even if they beat them, it's going to be a close game. They don't deserve to move up. So let's go ahead and take a break. We will be right back with something. So that's great radio right there. We'll be back with something. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, it's James from Vets On. Whether it was my last will and testament before deployment or my ongoing custody battle for my children during my divorce, I needed help, so I lawyered up. If you need help, I urge you to contact Capstrom Law Firm. Capstrom Law Firm in Springfield, Missouri services clients throughout the state in criminal law, personal injury, and family law. With over 13 years practicing law, Tom Capstrom understands both law and court procedures and how stressful they can be. Let Tom Capstrom Law Firm and his dedicated staff take the stress and worry out of a difficult situation by calling him today. We feel so strong about the work that Tom and his staff are doing that he'll be a monthly guest on the show. Tom is a veteran and a listener, for God's sake, so you know the guy is solid and will fight for you. Give Tom a call today by calling 417-864-0552 or email Tom at capstromlaw.com. And don't forget to tell him that Vets On sent you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
Breaker, 19. How about that bandit? You got them ears on, son?
Have you ever wanted to be a truck driver? If so, pay attention. If not, pay attention anyway. Southwest Truck Driver Training offers everything you need to get started. You can get hired before you begin training. They've got GI Bill approved training facilities, day,